Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy. I hope you're doing really well wherever or whenever in the world that you are. Today we're going to be doing the quintessential mid-year freak out book tag. Freaking out mid-year book tag. What you know it and you love it. And so do I. I genuinely don't know when this video is going out, so I might be a little late to the game, but you know, better late than never. I don't know the original creator. If I can find them, I'll make sure to link their video or their channel or whatever in the description box down below. But I do feel like it's been around for a minute. I also know that there's a few different versions, so I'll do my best to give credit where credit is due. Alrighty, here we go. Prompt number 1. The best book that you've read so far in 2024. For me, it's a bit of a tie between two, and they're very different books, which is why I feel like I can do this. These kinds of things where you have to just pick one are really hard. So my favorite romance that I read this year is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. It is stunning perfection, literally no notes. This book is everything to me. I've talked about it a few times, so I'll link, in the description and the cards, a more in-depth review of this book, but it is one of the best romances I've truly ever read. My next favorite book so far is an essay collection that's called Are Women on the Ground. It's edited by Zara Hankier, and it is fascinating. Each essay is written by a different female journalist, and the collection is really speaking to the experience of being a female journalist in that region. Although each essay is written by a different person, there is kind of a overarching narrative that I think makes it really easy to read. It is definitely heavier. Each essay is really unique and fascinating and scary and stressful. They speak on so many different things. I am just really glad that I picked it up. I definitely read it very slowly over time. I kind of read an essay every once in a while. For me, that was really important so that I could kind of slowly digest everything that I was reading. I think if you've heard about this essay collection and were thinking about reading it, you absolutely should. Or if you're just curious about this region, this profession, it's a really good essay collection, and it's definitely been one of my favorite things that I've read this year. The next one is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2024. I am gonna say that the 4th book in the Mages of the Wheel series by J.D. Evans, this installment is called Ice and Ivy, is one of the best sequels I've read this year. This series is probably one of my favorite that I've come across, as an adult fantasy romance reader. It's excellent. In this installment, you're following Isan and Nessa. They are kind of a grumpy sunshine duo. Nessa is so compassionate and nurturing and warm, and Isan is pretty icy and cold and distant. And watching them kind of get to know each other and work through some stuff that comes up throughout the book is really beautiful. It's really captivating. This 4th book is so good. The plot is also genuinely so fascinating and really fast-paced. I'm obsessed with this series. This sequel in particular is so good. The next one is a new release that you haven't read yet, but want to. I've mentioned this before, although I'm not sure where, but a new release that I've been meaning to pick up and I just haven't quite gotten around to quite yet is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This is her new release. I think it came out maybe in February. I just haven't picked it up yet. I have the audio on my Audible, so it's downloaded and ready to go. I just haven't quite pressed play yet. So I anticipate really liking this. I've liked Tia Williams' past work, so I'm sure this will be no different, although I have heard this is a kind of a unique romance with some elements of magical realism that have me quite intrigued. So that's my answer for this one. All right, the next one says most anticipated release for the second half of the year. If you haven't watched it already, I do have a video up about all of the releases coming out July through December that I'm very excited about, so I'll make sure I link it above. If I had to just pick a few, because I can't just pick one, the next book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series comes out in November. It's called The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. And this is Miché's story, and I'm very, very excited. I think it's gonna be so fun. I'm also very excited the next book in the Supernatural Investigation series by B.B. Alston comes out. The third book is called Amari and the Despicable Wonders. This comes out in August. And then the second book in Her Majesty's Rebel series by Kate Bateman, this book is called How to Fall for a Scoundrel. That book also comes out in August. And you're following Ellie in this installment who you do meet in book 1. Next up is the biggest disappointment so far this year. For me, this would have to be One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I read this back in April and it just wasn't for me. The writing in particular is what didn't work for me. It's, I think, going for this very like whimsical vibe, but to me the like riddles just felt distracting. It really took me out of the story and didn't make me feel more immersed in the world, which I think is the point. I just didn't enjoy myself. I was really disappointed because I was really looking forward to it. It's obviously very, very hyped on all of the things. I'm so curious. Let me know if you've read this book. I'm definitely in the minority. I think most people who pick this up really, really love it. It's very like dark and enchanting. There's certainly things I liked about this book. I think there's a really interesting magic system and world building going on here, but I just didn't love the writing. And that's rare for me to say because I am not bougie or particular at all, but this is very unique. So that's gonna have to be my biggest disappointment. Counter to that, the next one says biggest surprise. Okay, I have a book that really surprised me and then just like a general thing that's come up this year that's really surprised me. And the book that comes to mind for me is Credence by Penelope Douglas. I was 100% sure I was gonna hate it. With forbidden romances, like taboo romances are really hit or miss for me. Like I like them, but sometimes I can't get past the taboo element, and I was worried that that's what was gonna happen for me in this book, but no. I loved this. This is a great wintertime, steamy, spicy romance. It was great. I really enjoyed myself. And I really didn't think that I was going to. Penelope Douglas has written some romances that I love and also ones that I really didn't like. So, you know, I wasn't sure how it was gonna go, but I was pleasantly surprised. I really was. Something in general that's really been a pleasant surprise for me has been playing my reading roulette game. I absolutely love it. I look forward to it every month. I love that it pushes me to pick up books that I would never in a million years choose for myself. I've come across some absolute gems and I'm so delighted by this game. I've also, from this game, I've picked up a ton of poetry, which is not something that I've historically read much of. I've picked up more science fiction, more horror than I've ever picked up before. So I'm really, really enjoying it. It's just been so fun. If you don't have your own TBR game, you're welcome to play along with me every month, but I just recommend you coming up with something fun, whether it's a TBR jar, a board game, whatever. It is just such a blast. I enjoy myself. So that's been a pleasant surprise. The next prompt is a favorite new author, and that can be a debut author or just new to me. And for this, I want to give a shout out to Eva Lee. She's a historical romance author, and I recently read her Union of the Rakes series and really enjoyed myself. I kind of binged the 3 books in that series. I really, really liked 2 of those installments, and it definitely has me interested and wanting to pick up more from her backlist. I really had a good time. And I read a lot of historical romance, so it's rare for me to read a new to me author because I do feel like I've dabbled quite a bit. But Eva Lee, new, and I loved her. The next prompt is my newest fictional crush. And I would either say Miles from Funny Story by Emily Henry. He was just kind of quirky and charming, and I just really loved him. Or Justin for Just for the Summer. Justin to me is like where can I find Justin? Where are you out there in the world for me? Because he is everything. He was really loyal and patient and kind and funny, and I'm in love. I love him. Those are my 2 fictional crushes. The next one says my newest favorite characters from 2024 so far. I have quite a few for this, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty obsessed with Rook from the Mortal Fate series by byeee. She is a baddie and I love her. I also really loved the Forger family from Spy X Family, especially Anya. I love them. They're so quirky and funny and I loved it. I was so pleasantly surprised by that little graphic novel, but that family is definitely like a new fave for me. Naime from Mages of the Wheel, her book is Rain and Ruin, which is the first book in this series. She's like kind of my queen. She is kind of for me who I compare all other female main leads to. It's Naime from Mages of the Wheel. Some honorable mentions though that I want to shout out. One is Lady Hardcastle and Flo from the Lady Hardcastle Mystery Series by T.E. Kinsey. They are such a fun crime-solving dynamic duo. They have such witty banter and just such a funny back and forth. I enjoy them a lot. Marcellus, who is the octopus in Remarkably Bright Creatures. So precious. I love him. Next up, we've got A Book That Made You Cry. Both of these are romances, which I think some people are surprised to hear, but there's some really like heart-wrenching romances out there, especially if you don't read them very often. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, I boo-hoo cried at a few parts here. It just really hit me like deep in my soul. I also cried a lot when I was reading Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, another one of my favorite romances from this year. Both of those are very emotional romances that are a bit heavier, a bit like more hard-hitting, I guess. And I loved them both, like both 5+ stars, and both made me pretty teary. Next one says A Book That Made You Happy. Again, I have more than one here. I read Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, and this was such a whimsical, fun tale. Tonally, it's very different from his other like Stormlight Archive stuff, but it was a good time. It put me in such a good mood. I loved it. It was great. I also did a reread of Nimona, which is a graphic novel by N.D. Stevenson, and it is so quirky. And Nimona is just like a really mischievous, funny character, and rereading it brought me so much joy. The next prompt says the most beautiful books that you've purchased this year, and I have two for this. The first one is this one, Wayward by Amelia Hart. Hold on, Francis needs me. Yes. Okay, she's fine. Anyways, this cover is so pretty to me. I love the kind of nature elements. It's also a little spooky. I don't know, something about it really speaks to me. The other book that I purchased that I really like I bought it because I like the cover, is For the Great Divide by Christina Enriquez. I am in the middle of this, slowly but surely making my way, but I just find this cover to be really pretty. I don't know, I kind of like the cartoony border. I don't know. Both of these I really like. I think they're beautiful. The next prompt says a favorite book to screen adaptation. In full transparency, I've only read one book that also has a movie TV show adaptation. That is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It was very sweet. I don't have anything to compare to. It's the only one that I've picked up this year, but I liked the book and I loved the animated film. The animated film, I even told my parents to watch it because I thought that they would love it, and they absolutely did. Very wholesome, so sweet, very cute. The last prompt says, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? I mean, so many. Basically, I need to read all of my physical TBR, my Kindle TBR, my audiobook TBR, but one that's been on my list this year that I would really like to get to is The House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson. A lot of my friends at work read it and said that it was fabulous, so I do want to get to it. I also, of course, want to finish Stormlight Archive. I've been stuck on Words of Radiance for millennia, it feels like. So if I had to only say a couple, I would say I'd love to catch up with Stormlight Archive, and I would love to read The House of Eve. All right. I think those are all the prompts. Feel free to share your answers to any of these down below in the comments section. If you want to support my channel, consider liking, subscribing, doing the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. And yeah, that's it. You're also welcome to like say hello in the comments, leave an emoji, ask a question. Like, I would just love to get to know you guys a little bit. So anyways, that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye.